is at crossroads. COVID has crossed the borders of the borderless world in a very menacing fashion. China has chosen this time to cross the borders of India. Our unsuspecting and unarmed soldiers have been brutally killed. Before I answer the questions on this issue that have been raised to me, let me put the narrative in a proper perspective. In the jungle, there was the Lion King. Her Majesty would hunt indiscriminately every day. So many innocent animals were killed for no purpose. The animals united. They came with a solemn league and covenant and requested the Lion King, Your Majesty, why hunt indiscriminately? Let us all hunt together. We will kill only to eat, nothing more, nothing less. The king magnanimously agreed to this. The royal hunt started along with the other animals. A huge deer was hunted down quite democratically. His Majesty, the lion, said divide it into four. It was divided into 4 parts. And the king said, the first part should go to the king of the forest, right? Yes. All animals agreed. Who is the king of the forest? Your Majesty. The second part should go to the leader of the hunting team, right? Yes. Who is the leader of the hunting team? Your Majesty. The third part should go to that animal which has to protect the other animals. Sure? Yes. Who is that? Your Majesty. The fourth part is there. The Lion King magnanimously said the fourth part is there. Whoever has the guts may take it from me. Is there any message for China in this? The way China treats its neighbors? Well, make your own guess. The first question, what are your views on the present conflict in the Indo-China border? Yes, the barbaric and dastardly attack on the Indian soldiers by the Chinese speaks volumes for the treachery and uncivilized behavior of that inhuman army. Confucius has said, don't give a sword to a man who cannot dance. Only a refined man should hold a weapon. The essential callousness of the rulers of that country is summed up by the Nobel laureate Pearl S. Buck in her novel Good Earth, which is written in the background of the depression and the famine in China. Pearl Buck says, a dog barks when its master is attacked. I would be a coward if I saw that God's truth is attacked and yet would remain silent. Yes, truth has been attacked on the borders between India and China. Of the latter famine between 1958 and 1962 in China, Yang Jisheng has written in his book Tombstone how 13 children who craved for food were dragged by the authorities to the foothill to die of starvation, exposed against the scorching sun. It is not time for us to forget that machine guns firing against the youth, filling the Tiananmen Square with the blood of young men who wanted some freedom. This is the psyche of the country which has unleashed the recent brutalities towards the Indian soldiers. As philosopher M. Taine said, man is a product of his race, milieu, and moment. The brutalities of the Chinese army stems from the brutality of their culture. Yes, friends, the second question which you have put to me, what could be the intentions of China in initiating such a skirmish? The intentions of China are loud and clear. In Latin, there is a saying which means, it is a consolation for the wretched to have companions in woe. Xi Jinping, the self-assumed perennial ruler of China, has realized that his feet are faltering. The COVID has unsettled the country, divided his people, created a new cadre of rebel leaders. His economy has crumbled. The world, US in particular, is up against China, which is perceived to be the villain which unleashed the agent of death COVID on humanity, which is a cheaper and easier way than an attack on the neighbor to divert attention of the people. There are strong political, economic, and military reasons too, which prompted China to wage this farcical strike on the unsuspecting Indian forces. I have been asked, does the complexities of the internal politics of China influence China's India policy? Yes, it does. There are strong rivals in China against Xi Jinping. Yes. China is no more the monumental monolith which they had projected it to be to the outside world. There are blots on the escutcheon. There are chinks in the armor. The winter of discontent has started, falling its shadows in the politics of mainland China. There are carping critics to the leadership of Xi. Public resentment started surging with the official killing of the revered doctor of Wuhan, Sri Li Wenliang. And what was his fault? He revealed to the outside world through the social media that the existence of COVID is a reality. After he tried this and leaked the information through the social media, no one has heard of him. The nation was shocked. Public resentment mounted against the high-handedness of the administration. Then came so many instances where critics came forward questioning the ways of Xi and the administration. In China, it is a choice between life or freedom. Many young intellectuals and professors, academicians and thinkers, they decided to stand firmly against Xi. Yu Zhongran, Su Xiong, Sang Yuezhong, Yu Lingqi. Their list continues like this. And then came the Chinese billionaire who openly said, in China, it's not a question of the king has no clothes, but a naked man is masquerading as the king. So Xi is surrounded. There are internal problems. That is one of the reasons why he is trying to turn the attention of his countrymen by making transgressions on the neighboring India. Next question. What are the political implications of the developments in the India-China border? Yes. There is a new brand of imperialism rising its ugly cobra head in the world. The Sino-imperialism. The leader of the so-called People's Republic of China got himself anointed as a permanent ruler of China. Yes, like the dictator of France. He has visions after me deluge, typical of the old emperors of China. Xi has shown the megalomaniac feeling, I am monarch of all I survey, or it appears to be so. He has an expansionist agenda. China sinks the vessels of friendly Vietnam, makes coercive incursion into the sovereign rights of Philippines recently, and Thailand, of course, gives an occasional kick at Australia, hacks or diffuses their cyberspace, tries to melt down Hong Kong's democratic freedom, cunningly hoodwinks Nepal, grabs the whole of Tibet, raises border disputes with friendly North Korea, eyes for the land which belongs to India. In short, Xi the Dreamer sees his empire as the military superpower, economic superpower, and wants to make it a political superpower of the world. Yes, if wishes were horses, the beggars would ride. But with India, America, Russia, Japan, Israel, and the Eurasian countries on one side, China can count only on Pakistan, North Korea, and of course, the ultra-leftists and the Marxists of India. The world will be amused to see Xi Jinping, like Sancho Panza of Don Quixote or Don Quixote, riding on a rickety old horse and fighting against windmills. China watchers and futurists say that Xi's vaulting political ambition may lead to the division of China into 6 or 10 independent countries, as happened in the USSR in the wake of glasnost and perestroika under Gorbachev. The question, what are the economic implications of China's dastardly act on the borders? Well, China has been on an upward swing in marketing its goods abroad. COVID has obviously given a beating to the economy of China. China's economic expansion scheme revolves around the Sino-Pak Economic Corridor, which, as all of us know, passes through Pak-occupied Kashmir, POK. It is India's stated position that POK belongs to India, and the world knows that sooner than later it will be with India. Scrapping of Article 370 in Kashmir, passing of Triple Talaq Act and the Citizenship Amendment Act has proved to China that India means business. China has been building excellent infrastructure, connecting it to the different parts of the world in the hope of a new Silk Route, perhaps, of prosperity. China has strategically negotiated access to the Oman port, but India out-Chinaed China and got permission from the Sultan of Oman for using the port for military purposes too. China has already negotiated with Sri Lanka and got permission to use their port for commercial purposes. China cannot bear in But there is more to it than meets the eye. Border is at times a cause, at times an excuse for dispute. The border between India and China, stretching across 3,500 kilometers, was defined as far back in 1914 in Simla under the initiative of the then British Home Secretary Henry McMahon. India, Tibet, and China entered into border negotiations in Simla and reached an agreement defining the borders of India and China. In spite of being a party to the agreement, China did not confirm it. But McMahon Line came to be regarded as the boundary between India and China. Way back in 1962, China made incursions into Indian territory and a war ensued, lasting for about a month, resulting in the rout of India. Analysts attribute it to the total lack of military vision from the political leadership of India at that time. Jawaharlal Nehru was the Prime Minister of India. An ill-equipped army with not even warm clothes to protect themselves from the Himalayan chill was forced to fight an unequal war. The political leadership of those days shamed the Indian army and humiliated Indian people. We are now paying the price for the glorified sins of the inept political executive of that time. So far, hundreds of transgressions have been made into the Indian territory. Then, in 1967, China made incursions into Indian territory. In 1975, they encroached into our land. In 1985, China laid claims on the integral parts of India in the northeast, and when Rajiv Gandhi was the prime minister at that time. China again attempted to cross over Indian border. In 2017, in Dokla, China again made border violations. Accidents are not accidental. There is a clear design behind it in military operations. Disrespect to the neighboring borders forms the crux of the dubious military policy of China. This is a legacy from Mao Zedong. Chairman Mao and his five-finger policy is diabolical in nature. According to him, when China occupied Tibet, Mao said, Tibet is a palm. Now there remain five fingers. The five fingers are Ladakh, Arunachal Pradesh, Sikkim, Bhutan, and Nepal. China is implementing this five-finger agenda. First, they sent COVID to cross the borders. Now, they're asking their army to cross the borders. The next question is, where does the International Committee of Nations stand vis-à-vis India and China if there is an armed conflict? The question is hypothetical. There is no armed conflict now. As of now, subtle implications and stated positions show that the USSR, that is Russia, USA, Israel, Japan, and many European countries will align with India, directly or indirectly, in case of an armed conflict between the two nations. China will be left maybe with North Korea and Pakistan, of course. Though China is wooing Bangladesh and even Nepal to be with them overtly or covertly. Of course, they can depend on the communists of India who played the fifth column during the 1962 crisis. But in case of a conflict, the Indian communists will realize that those who side with the People's Liberation Army of China will have to rest in the people's jails of India for helping the enemy disrobe their motherland. Yes, public memory is not too short. During the India-China War in 1962, the communists took a devious stand and publicly stated, the land which China claims to be theirs and we ours. Some petty-minded leaders even went to the extent of saying, we should donate blood to the wounded Chinese soldiers. Political frenemies inside are worse than the military enemies outside. Do you find any hidden relevance in the timing which China chose to launch this skirmish? Well, China is known for its dubious and diabolic sense of timing. They would like to fish in troubled waters only. In 1962, the Chinese chose to attack India when the Cuban Missile Crisis was at the flashpoint. USSR had installed ballistic missiles and nuclear weapons in Cuba at the very doorstep of USA. This was a successfully secretive retaliation to the American perfidy in installing nukes and missiles in Turkey and Italy within the proximity of the USSR. Both the nuclear giants came to a near clash. It was as if any pilot in a panic may press the button and end the whole world any moment. When the whole world was on tenterhooks, China chose to attack India. Even Soviet Union, which was with India, could not come to our aid because of the compulsions of the situation. Now, a pandemic is ruling the roost. Humanity is fighting it out. No sensible human being will think of a war at this time. But to the Chinese leaders, Shakespeare is right. Reason has fled to the brutish beasts and men have lost their reason. What will be China's take home if they foolishly impose an insane war on India, on humanity? Yes. China will realize a more powerful army with more powerful weapons and more powerful leaders will make a powerful army with powerful weapons and powerful leaders powerless. India will teach them the hard way that an army of sheep led by a lion is more effective than an army of lions led by a sheep. India loves peace. India loves humanity. Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. But we have kept the nation well oiled and fighting fit. Should there be a war, India will fight to the finish till the last nail is driven deep into the coffin of the warmongering enemy. Bharat Mata ki Jai. Vande Mataram. Well, what is going to be the outcome of the adventurism of China on the Indian border? Earlier we referred to the jungle and the lion. We will end in the jungle once again. In the jungle, the lion's son thought, everybody is afraid of my dad. They run away when they see him. Why no such awe and wonder when I go by? The young lion thought, I will try my own way. Early morning, before the Lion King got up, the young lion goes on his prowl. He asks haughtily a deer which passed by, who is the king of the forest? Meekly, the deer replied, Your Majesty, you are the king of the forest. Then came a bison. The haughty young lion asked, Who is the king of the forest? Well, the bison shrugged his shoulders, gave a sharp look at the lion. With a whimper, it disappeared from the scene without giving an answer. Then came a tusker, a rogue elephant at that. The haughty lion asked the rogue elephant, Who is the king of the forest? It took the lion between the tusk and the trunk, held it for some time, and threw it away. The lion fell on the rock, badly bruised, bleeding, limping. The young lion comes to the elephant and asks him, Elephant uncle, if you did not know the answer to my question, you would have just said that, then why this? Does China get any signal from this? America, Russia, Japan, Israel, the European countries, when they join together with India, well,
reaction can have multiple reactions.